Is with us again. We saw him with the hair in the Coach K film, which debuts Thursday night.
And the muscles.
9 Eastern on
Still
ACC Network. and it's to me, again, I was a freshman in college when you guys were seniors that year. I remember every play of that. I remember the season. And I remember that was really what made Mike Krzyzewski a star. He obviously is in an entirely different place right now. He has become arguably the greatest coach in the history of the sport. And he sends 3 rookies to the NBA this year. And that's where I want to pick up this conversation with you guys for a moment, because the rookie survey came out. They surveyed all the other guys who were going to be rookies this year. And the player they themselves, the rookies expect to have the best NBA career is Cam Reddish. Not Zion, not R.J. Barrett, not any of those other guys, but the much maligned at times, Cam Reddish. Did that surprise you?
A little bit, but I think it, in one way, it doesn't, because Cam is the most talented across the board among those players, and maybe among that entire draft class, because he's got size, he's got great length, an excellent athlete. He's the best defender of those 3 Duke players that went into the draft and the lottery. And he's also the best shooter. Like, he's a freaky good shooter. Didn't shoot it as well consistently as expected. He was more streaky, but he's got all the talent. The question is, does he, what does he have in here? Is he going to be able to? Because he checked out of a couple games, didn't even play in 2 of them when he should have. And those raised a couple red flags. But talent-wise, I can't disagree.
And first and foremost, players don't always take these serious. I wish they would, but they don't always do so. Even a couple of years ago, when the players were voting for MVP awards, you get a guy who hasn't played all year getting MVP votes. But Cam Reddish also played against this same level of competition when they were in high school. And guys remember the work you put on them a couple of years prior before you ended up running with Zion and RJ, which tells you his peers feel like he was overshadowed at Duke. And your last point was one of my favorite ones as well. If you look at all of the people that went in the draft ahead of him, a couple, Zion, Ja, RJ, and DeAndre Hunter, he's the one that's a knockdown shooter, gets to play with Trae Young, so his situation looks like, if he grows into his game, may also be a good look for him.
You spent a lot of time around that team. Were you surprised by this? Are those guys, they seem to like each other, but he had some issues.
Yeah, and I was actually a little more surprised that people didn't pick Zion. I get it. Maybe the situation had more to do with it, but Zion's very well liked, and you would think that these other players who know him well and who have played with him might have gone with him. So that surprised me more than actually that it was Cam Reddish.
There might be a little Zion fatigue, too, in that, too. I don't know why people voted the way they did, but I can tell you that people are coming up to me all the time going, I don't know, injuries. And you're like, where is that coming from?
Yeah.
Now, if you're a doctor saying that, but it's like the only thing people can pick at. Well, he's going to be hurt. Okay, well, if that's all you got.
And these are the same rookies when they asked them who's their favorite player, none of them picked Steph Curry. So that fatigue does exist.
Okay, I have been waiting for several days now to ask you about the DeMarcus Cousins injury. So let's get to that, because we've got LeBron James now in Los Angeles, and they put together the team with Anthony Davis, and everyone thinks, oh, this is going to be terrific. And I think a sneaky big piece of that was the fact that they added to that mix DeMarcus Cousins. Well, now DeMarcus Cousins, as we all saw, goes down. He won't play this year. And the Grizzlies have granted Dwight Howard permission to speak to other teams. Ramona Shelburne reports the Lakers are doing their due diligence. Now, Howard was in L.A. briefly, we recall, and that went horribly badly. Do you like the fit of Dwight Howard with AD and LeBron?
I think he's too accomplished for that role in that situation with this team. We got to remember, he once played in L.A., and the circumstances were a lot different. He played with Kobe. He played with Steve Nash. They made the playoffs. They got swept by the Spurs. That was the last time the Lakers made the playoffs. And he left for Houston, and they put up billboards to try to recruit him. Now, all of a sudden, you think he's going to be Anthony Davis's backup to the backup to the backup of JaVale McGee? And having JaVale McGee throw him towels when he walks to the sideline? Like, in his 16th year, a future Hall of Famer. People get so mad at me for some reason when I say that. Future Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer.
Dwight Howard. Future Hall of Famer.
Correct.
I like him better in Memphis, where he can kind of fly under the radar and get his game back, Jay. This is his 15 in 5 seasons.
But given where he is in his career, and I agree with you, he is an absolute Hall of Famer. He's been a great player. But he needs to be, at this stage, happy to contribute to a winning team. If he would you rather be the man somewhere else, or would you rather wear a ring? And if you're willing to play that role, and I think it's a totally different situation the last time he was with the Lakers, then it can work. But last thing for me on that, I'm devastated. I was devastated for DeMarcus.
For DeMarcus Cousins.
I got a chance to work with him in high school, and he is a little bit misunderstood.
Yes.
He's a good person.
He is.
He really is. And his career with these last 2 injuries has gone in a downward trend. But it's nothing he did wrong. He's a good guy.
No, Jalen, these are the 2 worst injuries you can have.
Correct.
Right? He had the Achilles and now the ACL. I hate to say it, but we may have seen the last of DeMarcus Cousins in the NBA.
I hate this for DeMarcus Cousins, which lends to why one of the reasons why so many big-time players are going to pull out from Team USA. Look at how much money DeMarcus Cousins lost in the last couple of years with these injuries. Same with Isaiah Thomas. I hate this for him so very much.
Yeah, it's a terrible blow. And yes, we were going to get to that. We don't have the time for that. But before we go, take a look at this. And there it is. Okay.
I told you the muscles. Don't sleep on the muscles.
It's not changed.
I got a good question I always want to ask athletes.
There we go.
Here's a good
similar
question you always ask athletes. Why number 21?
I wore it when I was younger, and it was my favorite number, and it was available. That is the highest scoring number in Duke history, by the way. The most productive number. Not good enough to be retired, and keeps, but good players were in it.
That is phenomenal. All right. That was great fun. Good luck with the film. And we're all looking forward to seeing it Thursday night on the ACC Network. Tomorrow morning, get up with us. Not sure what's more impressive, Baker Mayfield's arm or his mouth. Is the quarterback too brash? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Justin Herbert, viewed by some as the possible #1 pick in next year's draft. What does Mel Kiper think? We'll ask him. And why Laura's Florida Gators could be a huge sleeper in college football this year. Get up, 8 Eastern, ESPN.
Like Florida and Michigan playing the bowl every